Today's story is Sunflowers by Kafkalover. It's dark, you know. Even in the daytime. Once, before the bombs fell, the world was bright and golden like the crown of a sunflower. Not that I've seen one, of course. I felt one. A tiny bud pressed between the pages of some long-forgotten book in the corner of a library. Even then, it was delicate, soft, like crushed silk. I've kept it all these years in a box, like a hidden star that only I can see. My dream pod is programmed to display the sunflower as I close my eyes. So I drift away to imagined memories of emerald fields and that yellow warmth of a faraway sun. I think the light still exists out there, somewhere. My colleagues don't agree, as I was politely asked not to publish my paper on lost worlds in late modern literature. I admit that I wasn't exactly subtle in injecting politics into an ostensibly academic work. It's no secret that I think more should be done to confirm global day dusk, specifically at the poles. A very unpopular opinion, especially with all the money that's been invested to adjust to the darkness. No, better to outfit humans with silver cat-eye goggles or thermal implants to illuminate the world in waves of red and blue. Or, of course, to move those that can pay to the jewel-bright towers of Imperia, perched above the ashen nuclear clouds. You know, I used to be angry at the past. I think that's why I studied late modern history in the first place. It seemed so deeply unfair. People living carefree, fanciful lives in a light that they would never miss. Satiated with destroying the Earth, picking each other apart like vultures and creating bigger and bigger bombs. Every one of them a Louis XV, flapping their hands with dismissive indulgences, après moi le déluge, what it must have been like to live at the cusp of the end of the world. To see your choices closing in around you and do nothing. No one thinks of those that are left. The ones forced to eke out a life in the mucks and rubble of willful ignorance. Sailors on a callow sea. But then I think that I am committing the original sin of the historian. The belief that I would have done differently. Would I have chained myself to the last K-Pop? Refusing to move even as the bulldozers drove towards me? Been on the streets when the TPNW was broken? When the Union of Sovereign States announced a preemptive strike policy? Surely I would have organized against the repeal of Article 1, the declaration of the Imperial Executive, the firing on the crowds at Boston Commons, or perhaps I would have done the same. Remained silent even as the first missile struck. Calmly retreated to my Arc 3, assuming I was one of the lucky ones with the shelter, and awaited the end. It's easy to imagine courage, almost as easy as imagining the tiny threads of different futures unspooling, all driven by a million braver choices. As if I make any of those choices now. What have I done to rail against the unfairness of this world? This present, the radioactive rain and sooty clouds, and oaths to the new America? I live in the same box of an apartment as everyone else, with the same flickering screen showing the same tired pixels of a forest, or an ocean, or a meadow, breathing from the same respirator as I turn my face towards the same black joke of a sky. I didn't even publish my paper. Just meekly closed my proposal and walked into the hall and blankly stared past the university banner. Veritas, it read, in red and gold. A lie from the world that used to be. I almost have memories of the half-sun from when I was a child. Standing on a sandy shore, the ocean a blue-gray haze with jade sparkles when hit just right with a tendril of light. My mother holds my hands and I dash back and forth in the space between waves, laughing. It's sweet and short, and it probably never happened. The last day of sunlight, they say, was 3 years before I was even born. I'm tired of living in shadow. Not, I think, the darkness. I don't know if I'll ever escape. I mean as a shadow of myself, of what I could be doing against the failure of what I am. And maybe that's what really drove those doomed expeditions north, searching for the last speck of an open sky. None ever returned, of course, but now I wonder if they found it. Would they even bother coming back? Why share a miracle with a world that had already destroyed every last atom of wonder? Maybe they're still on the Arctic ice, eyes closed, soaking up the polar sun. If you find this note and I'm gone, find it in 10 minutes, 2 years, 100 years from now, that is what I've left to find. I'm looking for the sun, looking to see it dawn across silver clouds, looking to see rainbows melt across the sky like watercolor. And if I don't come back, think of me as there, somehow. I'm a black figure against the melting tundra, standing in sprouts of green and gold, coaxing a sunflower to grow. So that, my lovely listeners, was Sunflowers by Kafkalover, and this story is just beautiful. It's also the first of many sci-fi stories that I intend to read this month. July for me is going to be a lot of sci-fi. If you don't like sci-fi, I'm sorry, but I've found that not enough narrators in the horror community do science fiction readings, so I intend to do as many as I can this month. There will still be horror in this month, obviously, but I want to give sci-fi some love. And honestly, I could not be happier that this was the first one. This story is gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful imagery, and probably one of the most depressing stories I've read in a very long time. Thank you, Kafkalover. This was a great story, and thank you for letting me read it. I do appreciate it. All that said, friends, if you liked this story and would like more content like this, or content that is so vastly different you couldn't even compare it, because it'd be like comparing blue to the color of the sun, which you can't see because you'll go blind. So, consider joining the Nevermore. To join the Nevermore, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button and then hit that bell icon next to it, and then you're part of the Nevermore. Supporting the Nevermore and helping it grow includes things like liking this video, following me on Twitter, liking me on Facebook, joining my subreddit, or supporting me through Ko-fi or Patreon. On the screen now, you will see names of my patrons. There are 2 of them currently. Thank you guys, you rock! Yeah, so I hope you all have a fantastic week. I know it's Monday, and look, I dropped a video, right? Feels kind of weird. But anyway, I hope you guys have a fantastic week and had a fantastic weekend. I will see you on the next video. But until then, my lovely friends, sleep well.